So Chad touched on this a little bit, but distinguishing between people who are here and live here and work here and folks looking at us from the outside who may be considering moving businesses here or putting outposts of their businesses here. Do you think there's a big divergence in our identity between what, how folks in this room would define Wilmington and folks outside? And I'll throw it open to anyone. Melanie and then Rick.
Well, I think Chad touched on it. As I look forward to the future, how do we continue to shift toward more of a technology, knowledge-based type, diverse economy that can better withstand the economic ups and downs that we commonly see? And when I think Raleigh probably views this area as again a place with a great university that should be kind of pocketed in terms of what it delivers in terms of higher education, and an area where you go on the weekends. Great tourism, great beaches, and I think the community is actually developing in a much different way. We're having a renaissance of people who want to leave maybe the cold urban environment and move down to a place where it's pleasant to live and it's an easier lifestyle, but they don't want to quit, they don't want to retire, they don't want to give up, or they semi-retire and they want to use their intellect involved with new and exciting things. They want a second chance at life on their terms. I think I think the state needs to respond in a way where we build the rest of the infrastructure to support that creative mentality that's coming to this town.
No?
I would think definitely, yes, there is a distinction between those who come to visit the community and those who live and work and remain in the community, what they would view the brand of the area. I know if I'm looking for a place to come to go on vacation, to enjoy the sun and the wind and the water, I'm not necessarily thinking, okay, let me check to make sure that they have internet cafes or that they're Wi-Fi and technically connected. It's a nice aspect of it, but I think ignoring the strength and the component of this community that probably has drawn most of the people who are in this room here, the water and the sand and the ability to be outside and to interact, I think is something that's very critical. And I think as individuals who are lucky enough to live in this community, we don't lose sight of that. Well, actually, we could if we're not careful, lose sight of the fact that resource is there for us to appreciate as much as those who only come for a week or a weekend. So I think when Wilmington is trying to determine how to market itself, it has to take into consideration that we're not marketing to people who are already here. People will remain in this community because the connections are made, because they have come here and they've placed roots in this town, whether they've been here 3 months or been here 30 years. When it comes to branding Wilmington, I think the focus has to be on how do we communicate what it is that can bring people here for a temporary basis and keep them returning time and time again. Because ultimately, you keep coming back, you're ultimately more likely than not going to stay.
Tom?
I think that we all have to acknowledge that the economic downturn that's occurred in the last few years really is not unique to Wilmington, obviously, and in fact we'll probably survive it and come out of it better than most, because there will be a macroeconomic trend that occurs which will drive new population growth to the southeast United States, and in particular our coastal cities. Wilmington is one of those beautifully positioned places for that migration that will occur. And our choice ought to be, do we plan for it and do we brand towards it, or do we just let it happen? And I think that if we plan and brand around it, we can control our destiny and continue to enjoy what I call the quality of place. And quality of place might be the most significant brand of all about Wilmington. When you think of quality of place, a lot of things come to mind, but it's the natural beauty, and then at the same time, this thriving undercurrent of new ideas and knowledge workers and creatives that flock here because of the unique beauty of the place. So I think that, you know, there's a lot of people outside of Wilmington who have resources at their fingertips now who can quickly identify it as one of those special places because it's so easy to do research and put in the characteristics you're looking for. And I think Wilmington will be found at a faster rate, and I think it will continue to thrive well into the 21st century.